I love my Canadian passport. My sentiments might strike you as being exuberant, but you have not traveled around the world with an Iraqi passport, and therefore I don't expect you to understand. I have a special ritual which I follow whenever I'm about to travel abroad. I pick out my passport from a special hiding place and I place him in the palm of my hand. Then I begin stroking him across the front cover, the way Gollum from Lord of the Rings stroked his precious. Hello, dearie, I always begin with a soft whisper. I don't call my passport precious. Dearie is far more endearing. Hello, oh beautiful green one. We are about to embark on another adventure together. Are you ready? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Oh, you are the one and only for me. Oh, I remember traveling with the other one. Nasty green one. You give me magical powers. You make me invisible. You bestow dignity and respect on my poor person. Before I met you, I used to be one of the other ones, the suspected ones, the ones that get the odd looks and extra handling. But ever since I met you, my traveling adventures are a breeze. And then I take Dearie and I put him in a special pocket close to my heart while we whisk away on yet another adventure together. Like all passionate relationships, ours fizzled after the initial honeymoon phase. In November of 2003, I was planning a trip to Washington, D.C. to attend a conference related to my work. And on that morning, right before I was about to wake up Dearie, I made the mistake of listening to the morning news on CBC Radio 1. And it was the day where the story of Maher Arar broke in mainstream Canadian media. Mr. Arar is a Syrian-born Canadian who was detained in New York on his way back to Canada, where he was interrogated, and then he was shipped to Syria, where he was imprisoned and tortured. Does Dearie have a treacherous side? I could imagine myself being shipped away to Abu Ghraib prison, and I could imagine my children and husband standing in front of the Canadian Parliament protesting, holding a placard that said, "Bring our mommy home." I looked at Dearie, and his shine was gone, and he seemed frayed around the edges. And suddenly, I felt like an impish elf about to travel from the Middle East, Middle Earth, towards the Dark Tower. Will the Eye of Sauron detect me? Will I be sent to the Abu Ghraib dungeon? Do I have the courage to go on an adventure without a magical object? I looked at him and said, "Two-timing bastard!" Threw him into my hand. And so that morning, I made two resolutions for my trip. One, I wouldn't visit any monuments. Two, I wouldn't have any political discussions with anyone. I figured, given my emotional devastation with my breakup with Dearie, I better avoid any situation which might stir up unnecessary excitement. So, what is it like to live in Washington? I asked one lady attending the conference. Oh, being a single woman in Washington is really hard, the woman responded. All the gentlemen here are too important and don't have any time. And then she continued, describing all Washingtonian gentlemen as being assholes. And that reminded her of the president of all Washingtonian gentlemen, who ruled them all in that one attribute. And then I stood by as she entered into a conversational maze where she ranted and raved about how much she hated George Bush. What is it like to live in Washington? I asked another young man at the conference. Living in Washington sucks big time. All the ladies are gold diggers who expect to be wined and dined, the poor man told me. And then he proceeded to tell me how everybody he knows wants to be a lawyer. And once they become lawyers, they become a self-centered and corrupt human being. And again, I stood by as he stopped conversing and began ranting about how much he hated George Bush. I was tempted to introduce the man to the woman I was speaking to earlier. But I was worried I might be accused of starting an Iraqi conspiracy to confuse American people with weapons of wrongful matchmaking. I tried to steer the conversational rudder into sunnier directions. Hey, isn't the weather nice today? I tried to disguise myself as a true Vancouverite, or I had a fantastic lunch at a nearby restaurant. It didn't matter what I said. Each person I spoke with would end the conversation by ranting and raving about how much they hated George Bush. I don't know if this is the result of my raw emotional state, which people could sense energetically, or whether there's something about people in Washington that makes them immune to banality. People, please, be sensitive. I wanted to scream at each person. If you say you hate George Bush, what am I supposed to say? After those experiences, I figured I better stick to solitude as my companion. And to calm my nerves, I went for a walk, allowing my legs to just take me in any direction they wanted. As I walked, I came across a white house with a fence around it, and I thought, oh, this can't be the White House, it looks too small. But then I saw the police and security personnel crawling all over the place, and I realized that I was standing in front of the one place I was trying to avoid the most. Ooh, darn these legs that brought me here, I thought to myself. When I'm angry with Dearie, everything seems to go wrong with my life. At a slow pace, I began to walk around the White House, contemplating all the decisions that were made there that have affected my life. And a dark thought entered my mind. I remembered the old Arabic superstition that believes in the evil eye. It's the belief that certain people have the psychic power to cause harm or damage by simply looking at something with malice in their heart. I myself don't believe in any of this hocus pocus, but a demon whispered in my ear, what if there's the 0.01% chance that this evil eye is true? And what if there's the 0.01% chance I possess this power? If there ever was a time and place where I would want to invoke it, this would be. That would not render me guilt-ridden for the rest of my life. I ran through a long list of mischief in my mind, and I finally settled on diarrhea. The kind of diarrhea that's annoying, but goes away after one day. So I closed my eyes, and I tried to remember the feeling of diarrhea in my body. And then in my mind, silently, I said, I want George Bush to get diarrhea tonight. And then I tried to project that feeling onto the White House. When I opened my eyes, I heard an ambulance siren in the distance. And I was overcome with a feeling of panic, and my legs rushed to my hotel room. Later that night, I discovered that George Bush was visiting Turkey, the country, and therefore couldn't have received the wrath of my curse. I lied in bed, and I was feeling sad and tired. Everything that I did that day was not like me. You know, when I'm angry with Dearie, it seems that I act crazy, and everybody around me acts crazy as well. There are no two ways about it. Although I was angry at him, in my heart, I knew I was yearning for my beautiful dream one. And I had to acknowledge that I needed to find a way to repair my relationship with Dearie, despite his many flaws. But that is a story for another day.